Hello, welcome back to From Soft Serve. I wanted to start off really quickly with pretty pretty crazy. I didn't think I was gonna hit 1,000 that quickly. That's crazy. My other channel I used to have, well, I still have. I just don't do anything with. Took a lot longer, but yeah, this is crazy. I honestly super appreciate it. This is mind blowing to me. I was looking at the last 90 days, and it was like we had not a lot, and then whoop, crazy stuff. So thank you so much for everyone joining me. And the real reason I'm mentioning it, other than I'm super grateful, is yeah, I want to do that Q&A. I thought that'd be cool at hitting 1,000. That's what you do, right? So you guys can ask me any question in the comments that you want. It doesn't just have to be Dark Souls related. It could be pretty much anything. I don't know. If it's too weird, then I won't answer it, maybe. I'm a pretty open person, so you can ask whatever you want, and then I'll make a video. And I think I'll do it in a way that isn't just me looking at the camera and answering them, because I think that's kind of like, I don't know. That doesn't seem like my jam. Um, I think I'd rather like have be playing the game. Like I'll do a save of Dark Souls 1 or a new save or something, and I'll just play it while I answer them. And yeah, I figured that'd be a good way to do it. That it's not, I don't know, it's not boring to watch. That way you still get Dark Souls, and then interspersed with questions getting answered. I don't know. So yeah, and ask them in the comments, and I'll happily oblige. And look at these nasty ass bugs. But yeah, once again, thank you so much. It's been really awesome. It's the highlight of my day to get to make videos and work on this kind of stuff. So it's pretty cool. I do plan on streaming on YouTube soon. I don't know exactly when, but soon. Uh, yeah, shorter video today, I think. Not an hour again, my God, probably. So yeah, just a few things. I popped back to the catacombs because I've sort of worked on the catacombs like on and off, where I'll do something with them and then I'm not happy with it and then I undo it because I basically have backups of the. He did not just parry my ass. Oh no. Okay. Uh, yeah, I have backups of the MSB files, so anytime I screw something up, I foobar it. I can just reset it. And I just recently reset Tomb of the Giants because I screwed something up. But we'll get there. Yeah, so basically here I have one, well, mostly one-to-one brought over the prepare to die settings in terms of color. Uh, I was smarter this time instead of like converting everything to a similar light ID for everything because obviously in the base game they didn't do that. Based upon where you were at and what room you were at, they would use sometimes different light IDs, if it was inside, outside. That obviously makes a lot of sense. Um, so I kind of kept that the same, but it does mean more legwork as far as basically looking between each light ID, tone correct, tone mapping. They used 38, they used 0, 14 in some places, 10. So yeah, like that's obviously a little bit of work to do that. And that does end up crossing over to when you're doing Tomb of the Giants, because as you would expect, hey, 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 can I not loot that? Okay, well, that sucks. Tomb of the Giants and Catacombs, they share a draw parium, which makes perfect sense because they are directly right next to each other and they lead into one another. Since Fortress and Anor Londo share a draw parium, which, I guess that makes sense. They do lead into each other. They don't have as much similarities beyond that, right? But, it makes sense. So anyway, whenever you're making those changes, you do have to keep that in mind, that you're also editing a draw parium for another map. That's something I had to learn the hard way. But as you can tell here, it does look similar. It's not like the differences were massive. Okay, I don't think I'll be killed here. So let's open up my little uh, group that has Prepare to Die and the Dark Souls Remastered. So you'll see M13 is the one for Catacombs and Tomb of the Giants, and you can see the green denotes that I've edited that one from the original, and you'll see it's pretty minor changes. I'm trying to find one here that is modified because it's pretty. They were pretty close, but there were some changes. Yeah, so here you can see this column here is the remastered. These are the original values over here. And you can see all the green boxes here are ones that I've changed. So there were actually a decent amount of changes between Prepare to Die and Remastered. Now, the reasoning beyond that, or the reasoning of like why they would do that, I think is more complex than just they were screwing with stuff. I personally don't think that it was that simple. I think obviously going from DirectX 9 to DirectX 11, and there are rendering changes, and so obviously I think that's why the textures had to change, like the way that they handle specular maps, normal maps, like that's why the specular maps and normal maps look completely different. Like they're not even similar at all. So the way that they handle them is different. And, obviously I'm not an expert in DirectX 9, 10, 11. No one mentions 10. 10, I love when 10 came out and people were, oh, that looks cool. Totally sucked. Worst performance, but it had some cool features. But DirectX 11's obviously, God, that's been out for a long time. But anyway, yeah, I don't think it's that simple. Like, I don't think they just were like, I want to mess with stuff. No, I do think that QLock probably had a reason for why they were modifying some of these. Some of the color settings, I think less so. But you can see like it's kind of the alpha setting for each one here is basically how much that specific thing that it's controlling shows up. So the _S is specular, and so they actually have the specular as the RGB of 255, 255, 255, which is white, versus 155 for all three. And they went from 50 to 0. So they kind of just were like, nope, don't show that at all. So that one, I'm going to go on a case-by-case basis. I turned it to 0 just to go with Prepare to Die, but I will go back in and be like, I don't know, maybe I do want some specularity. Stuff like that, where I'm like, okay, was there a good reason? I do think that Prepare to Die is generally a good baseline, which is why I tend to go back to that. Like if I ever have a question between the two, I do tend to side with the Prepare to Die edition. But I think it's important to keep, I don't know, I'm keeping an open mind where I'm like, are there some where I'm like, all right, because obviously Prepare to Die was not like a flawless version. It had to be fixed by modders. So anyway, here we are. I've modified the depth of field, and so it's subtle, but basically now you get a little bit more depth of field looking at the actual river, or well, not river, but waterfall. And before it was like super clear and you could see everything. And I'm like, why even have a depth of field capability if you're just not going to use it? And like they were using it, but it was so limited. So I'm loving this. But as you can see, when you turn the lantern off, it is exceedingly dark. And I know this won't be popular with everyone, which I did want to address that as well. I had a comment yesterday, I think, of someone who was from sort of the like no-hit community or like speedrunning style, just in that kind of community of special runs and whatnot. And they were like, yeah, I'd really love to use your mod for that, but unfortunately, with the changes you're making to the skull lantern and whatnot, the placement, we can't. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I hadn't thought of that. That's true. So at some point, I do plan to make a version that basically reinstates the player lantern and the item placement for like the skull lantern and whatnot, because that isn't really that difficult to institute that change. The difficulty is actually not so much in that. It's actually in doing it early enough to where I'd have to maintain two versions. that's more so the issue. Um, because if I create basically a separate branch where the player lantern's on, yada yada yada, and I make new changes to the official one, I have to like backport it. It's much more difficult than it sounds because they modify the same files. So it's not as if I can just copy over the newly edited MSB from the main project, right? Because if I do that, it's going to overwrite the lantern changes that are in the other lantern. I got to come up with a good name for those. But basically, between the two, it's kind of a nightmare. So, um, one option is basically to just say, okay, well then the player lantern version, that has that active, that's just going to get updated way less often. Like, that's just how it is. Or, I just wait and then I just do it a lot later when I'm more or less kind of happy with where the mod's at. But yeah, I actually really like going through the catacombs with no player lantern. I think it's a lot of fun. It's difficult as shit, All right, we're going. Woo! Oh, perfect time roll. Okay. Oh my god, it's disorienting turning the lights on. Okay. Okay, this is actually more successful than a lot of my other attempts here. Oh my god, the bone wheels when you can't see. Oh my god. But I actually think this is a lot of fun, and I know it's maybe just because I'm a masochist, but oh shit, my hat. Okay, don't clip that out. No one clip that out. No. But yeah, for the main version of the mod, I'm pretty okay with. Like, I think there are going to be people that just are like, this is dumb. I've gotten some of those comments where like, why would you ever? There was one where they were like really nice to start with, and I was like, oh, that's really nice. That's really cool. And then they just immediately go to, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. And I found it so funny. It was a genuinely nice comment for like the first half. And the second half was just like, a criticism, right? And that's fine. I just found the juxtaposition of the two absolutely hilarious because I just didn't see it coming. And I loved it. I know there's a Black Knight down there, and he's absolutely going to ass blast me. So I'm going to not go that way. I guess this video is really just, is it possible to get there? I have made it to Pinwheel. Well, Pinwheel's already dead on this save, but you know what I mean. Oh my god. Zigzag. It's the zigzag. Oh my god, this is way worse than the last time I did this. What the hell? Yeah, I gotta make sure not to cuss. Okay. Oh. Dude, you guys are placed way worse than... Oh no, am I going the wrong way? I'm going the wrong way. I think I'm going the wrong way. Okay. It is disorienting because I can't see. So it is a bit... I still love it though. I don't know. I think it's fun. Let me know what you think in the comments. I don't know. I think adding a little bit of challenge to Dark Souls, like for instance, like Dark Souls 1, the fact that I've played it so many times, there is a part where it's just not. Oh my god. Okay. I need to shut the hell up. Okay. The skeletons, I'll admit, they are still like, okay. Okay, well thanks for the push. I actually appreciate that. Oh, I thought you would die. Okay. No, like the actual challenge of Dark Souls isn't as much anymore. Like in the bosses, like O and S can still be a little well, I usually first or second try it now, but yeah, I don't know. The difficulty is not as much there, and I think that's natural for just playing it so much. I was actually watching a video on like how Dark Souls 1 was made. It's not like an official video or something, but he did a really good job. And Miyazaki was actually talking about that. He's like, yeah, Dark Souls, the more that you play it, QAing it, obviously the more they play it, the difficulty goes down. And, well, that makes perfect sense, right? That's, the more you're using it. I realized, oh, actually, is my stamina not regenning because I have the skull lantern up? Oh no, that is a... I just realized that is a crazy extra difficulty thing. I hadn't actually thought about that being an aspect of it, that my stamina goes down when I have the lantern, or it goes up less quickly. Ooh, Mamma Mia. That is that is not great. That is, oh my, dude. I will admit, I've always like found the catacombs area a little annoying, to be honest. But that's just okay. You know, all right. Okay, well this might be just where every player quits, but I have made it to Tomb of the Giants. TBH. I have done it. This video doesn't need to be me just dying over and over again, but I do think it's funny. Oh yeah. Quick thing on Anor Londo. It's the quickest thing ever, but it's a little tiny baby thing that I've been meaning to fix. Also, well, I think I talked about this in another video. You can see it's a little bit brighter in this area, in the inside, because I have modified the parameters for inside areas. Also, on my list of things to sort of investigate, obviously the shadow moi issue, more or whatever, how do you say it? That's certainly an issue where it's still kind of going on with the shadows, but it's on the list. The other thing I want to do is this little floor here, little stone floor. I remember seeing a reshade that somehow added, in screen space, they were adding in some sort of reflectivity to this, because I do feel like this stone would have just a hint of reflectivity, just a tad, like it's a little polished, just a little bit. And so that is also something I'd want to do for the ONS boss room, because I think that would look absolutely glorious if you had some reflective nature to that floor. And I'm not entirely sure how to do that. I don't know how you communicate to the engine that something is meant to get reflections, and like handling how clear is the reflection, how clear is it, so that I don't know. But I'm sure that's in the Fiverr settings and the, how you set the material. I've tried copying materials that are slightly more reflective, but like that's the thing in Dark Souls 1. I'm trying to remember, is there, like Dark Souls 2 has a lot of surfaces that are like reflective, like the Sur Alan boss room. Dark Souls 3 obviously does. And so like Dark Souls 1, I'm like, I don't remember them, other than water. I don't really remember them using much of the reflections, so I don't know. Anyway, in the previous build of my mod, this big shadow here, from this stone piece here, looked hollow. There was basically an outline of a shadow here, and that's because of a back face problem, as per usual. Also, that looks kind of weird. I've noticed that, where like the volumetric, like, or the god rays and stuff, like it stops right there. I don't know. Anyway, I fixed the back faces on this, and now it casts shadows correctly, so it's pretty cool. The other thing is, you'll notice as I'm walking down Anor Londo, if you look in the distance, it doesn't look great. The shadow distance, as I tilt the camera. Yeah, so I'll have to look at that. I reduced the shadow render distance because if you have it too high, they degrade at certain angles. That was the original like big glitch in the mod. So I don't know. I think it's mostly just noticeable at that point. Oh, yeah, it's actually kind of noticeable from there too. All right, well, I'll look into that. I want to make sure that the up close shadows stay really nice and don't degrade, right? Yeah, so that's actually kind of thing. So you can see on this stone floor, there's sort of a reflectivity, right? There's a little reflective nature to it. And I've actually stolen this material ID setting from this floor, and I put it out here just as a test, and it didn't do anything. So it's more complex than that. There's something else I got to do. So I don't know. I'll look into that. I'm trying to think what other. Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. Okay. So, Oolacile Sanctuary. This is a very small change. I did basically modify Oolacile. Um, it now uses the better depth of field setting. I think it's glorious, and I love it, and it's so much more immersive. I still have my dynamic shadows, which is really awesome. I love how it looks. I haven't been back to this area in a while. The other thing that is fixed is there's no player lantern, but the skull lantern now functions, so that is good to go. This is something I'm investigating. I don't know why this is. So this bridge, as you can see, I'm walking and you can see shadows, right? Hitting the player character. But they're not showing up on the bridge itself. Up until this point. Which normally I would think, well, okay, maybe that has something to do with baked shadows. Turns out it does not. As far as I can tell, the bridge itself already has uh, a baked shadow map that is completely white, which means basically it doesn't have baked shadows. So I don't really know why this is. Other than that, you would assume, oh, well, is it because all of these map pieces are shadow casting, so therefore the sun is getting blocked by these? Well, no, I've actually double checked that, and because I had made these not shadow casting, these map pieces here. And the reason for that is I wanted the shadows to really hit the foliage over here and the trees, because basically if you set all of this to be shadow casting, it turns off being able to see shadows on all of this, because of course it's now shaded, so there's no reason. But oh, this is where I got completely wrecked on Twitter. I posted a video of me facing one of these big guys. But the depth of field works so well here. Like, it's so cool looking. And it's such a subtle change, but I think it's really awesome. And so, yeah, small update to Oolacile. I do plan to do more updates here. There's some other things I want to do. I think there's a fog wall glitch, which I'm really not looking forward to fixing, because it is it's the Coliseum where Artorias is, and that thing is like 16 map pieces glued together, and some of them are only shown sometimes, and it's an absolute nightmare. So I'm not looking forward to that, but I'll have to figure out which one does the map piece. Also, what happened here? Is that just some? I was wondering what that was. Okay, because I haven't looked down there. But yeah, also I think this grass piece is I thought I saw a floating grass piece over here. Oolacile is definitely one where it's like, I could multiply this grass a little bit. I think the grass is like one giant map piece in some ways, but I think you could still move it, and it might look okay. But yeah, so I'm gonna investigate this bridge, because I don't know. I feel like it could have really cool shadows, because the shadows are clearly hitting the player character, and in the past that's always been because there's a baked shadow map stuck on this bridge. So I might play around with that. I'm very curious why they're not showing up, because I think that's a missed opportunity. But yeah, so super quicker video today. I think tomorrow should be the Q&A video, probably, where I'll still play Dark Souls. I'll just edit over like the comments, that way you can see the comments, edit them on the screen, and a little bit more video editing than I normally do, but I'm okay with that. But once again, thank you for watching. Subscribe if you haven't. There's a lot of new subscribers. Welcome, thank you, and yeah, like and share the video as well. Last time I told you that Framped told me that you should like and share the video, and people rightly pointed out that Frank is a gaslighter. So, you know, I got gaslit by Frank again. Really, both of the serpents, you know, they're just big gaslighters. But anyway, praise the sun, and yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Thank you so much.